What is going on, you guys? We are here to talk about the Chelsea versus Crystal Palace match and what we learned from this game because there were a few things. Yes, it was slightly devastating that we didn't score a single goal in this match. We did get the draw against Crystal Palace, which dropping points this early on could be devastating for Chelsea, but it is the first week in this match. So let's jump into it. If you are new to this channel, I greatly appreciate if you do hit the like button, subscribe down below. We obviously talk about the best club in London and the Premier League, Chelsea. So this match against Crystal Palace, definitely we had our opportunities very early on in this match. In the first handful of minutes in this match, I think Chelsea should have been able to find the back net. And because had we have done it, this would have dictated the entire match. Because what we saw with Crystal Palace is how they played a low block. And we have to give credit to Crystal Palace and how well they were with their low block. And this has been something that Chelsea have struggled with time and time and time again. You were thinking some of the players that we brought in, we were going to be able to break down that low block, and they just weren't able to do it. Crystal Palace, throughout this entire match, constantly, their defensive wise, was able to stop everything coming down the middle. We kept playing the ball out to the wings to Gins, who did start for us, Esval, who did come on later, and Pedro Neto. They just really couldn't get things going for the most part, and I do want to talk about that in just a little bit. But the defensive rate for Crystal Palace, like I said, Glasner came out and he knew exactly what he needed to do in this match, and they did it precisely what he expected from them because Cole Palmer was not able to get into this match at all. Like Cole Palmer, I'm not sure how many touches he had, but really could not get the ball rolling for himself. Anytime he tried doing anything, he was pretty much shut down immediately, or there was a player always shadowing him for the most part. So because he wasn't able to get into the game, we really didn't have a creative player for about the first 45, if not 60 minutes for us until Esteval came on, and therefore we did have a creative player along with Cole Palmer. But at that point, it was a little too late. And so because Cole Palmer couldn't do anything that he wanted to this match, we really couldn't facilitate the ball through the midfield to unlock the low block for the most part. And like I said, Crystal Palace, give them credit because they definitely deserve it. That being said, though, we did put the ball out in the wings quite a bit. The one thing I do want to talk about, though, is how stagnant we were in this match because I think this was the other problem we definitely saw with Chelsea today because we definitely looked like we were completely tired. And I do understand we had the Club World Cup, we had two friendlies against Bayern Leverkusen, against AC Milan, and we did have really a quick turnaround from all that. And we do have a quick match next Friday, which again is going to be right here pretty quickly. So hopefully the guys can rest up, but they just didn't have the tenacity to keep running, making any overlapping runs. And maybe Enzo Maresca, that was his tactics, not to do any overlapping runs. But during this match, anytime we played the ball to the wing, there wasn't any time that we ever played the ball or I had a guy running over him to make those overlapping runs because anytime we did play the ball out to the wing, Crystal Palace always had two guys closing him down, and all we could do then was play the ball back. And every time we played the ball back, then we had to play back to goalkeeper, to Sanchez, and then he usually just booted the ball up. So yes, we did have a lot of possession. We did have a lot of passes, but again, none of those passes were really key in this match. And the other thing we do need to talk about is the defensive rate. I think this match itself does show us that we probably do need to buy a CB with all the injuries we have. Hate to say it, Josh Achipong definitely did okay this match, but definitely had some balls that really could have led to Crystal Palace scoring goals. Very fortunate it didn't lead to any goals. Yes, Crystal Palace did have a goal at one point, but did get ruled off because of VAR. I think it was the right call. Let's be real here. Mark Agee is pushing Caicedo for the most part, so it should have been called. But overall, we definitely saw that we are lacking a proper CV. And yes, I understand Fofana and Badia Shield. We do have them. Both of them are kind of coming back from injury. Fofana was on the bench. Badia Shield was not. But overall, I think we do have to go in the market and probably buy someone now because after watching that, if we have to rely on Chalaba and Josh Achipong again as our back line, we will struggle for the most part because they definitely couldn't get in the game for the most part, and they were making so many anxious, stressful passes, not just to again each other, but to whoever was in the midfield, and they lost the ball time and time again. I do think Trevor Chalobah did play very well this match. If I had to pick a player of the match, it's probably Esse from Crystal Palace, but for Chelsea, I do believe it was probably Trevor Chalobah that played the best for us. I could see if we did give it to maybe Moise Caicedo, but overall, like I said, it just we didn't really have anyone stand out today in this match. And it's a shame because this was a match that played at home, played Stamford Bridge. You were expecting us to do so well this match. It just did not happen. And the fact is, I think we only had two or three shots on target in this match. We only had one shot on target up until like the 85th minute. So we struggled not only in our back line, but also in our attacking third as well. And I do think the goals will come. Obviously, I do think that will happen. But like I said, this match, like I said, we just fell flat for the most part. Even when we had the ball most of the time, we were very stagnant in the midfield itself. And like I said, I think that was one of the biggest issues from this match because we just didn't have the ability to run and chase balls down. If we had that capability, I think we could have beat Crystal Palace. I think we could have got all 3 points. It just didn't happen in this match. So that being said, though, we did get a draw. We did get the 1 point. So we did get, I guess, the game or the points going for most part for Chelsea. We're not zero anymore, so we're at the bottom of the table, but it is a match that we should have probably gotten all 3 points. So if you enjoyed this content, I greatly appreciate if you do hit the like button, subscribe down below. We do lives also as well. I wasn't able to get it going for this live for YouTube because I was having issues for the most part, but otherwise we do lives for Chelsea matches. So like, subscribe, you enjoy this content, and I will see you in the next video.